I basically, in my second year, I realized that I only had one more semester to take to finish UCLA. So I had to take one semester of my third year, and I graduated 1 year early. But that time, it was too late for me to kind of plan the next step. So I basically had a one free year to study for the bar and kind of focus on learning, reading a lot of books to kind of, develop myself.
What type of practice do you have now?
I actually run 7 different law firms, which is very atypical, ranging from business law, tax ID services, property damage, employment law, lemon law, and workers' comp. And sometimes we're in just one state, and a bunch of the law firms are in multiple states as well.
How long have you been an attorney?
7 years.
Are you licensed in states other than California?
No, licensed in California. The way that we usually do it is we do it through UBE lawyers. Lawyers who are either certified to practice in multiple states, and sometimes we do referrals to other law firms in our states.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in Iran, and I lived out there until I was 8 years old. And I'm Jewish, and which is a dichotomy, a Jewish person living in a country that doesn't really accept Jewish people. So our family was kind of forced to leave as a result of religious discrimination, and we moved out to the beautiful city of Los Angeles since I was 8 years old. And I appreciate so much from this country because I know exactly what it's like to not have complete freedom, and the complete freedom to do what you want when you want, as long as obviously it falls, as long as it falls within certain limits. But that opportunity is everything for me.
So did you go to high school in Los Angeles?
I did, yes.
Which one did you go to?
I went to Taft High School in Woodland Hills, California, if anybody knows.
Everybody knows Taft High School in Woodland Hills. When you graduated from Taft, where'd you go to college?
I went straight to UCLA. I pretty much I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I got to UCLA, and I noticed, I'm like, what are my friends doing? And I basically realized I only had 3 choices if I wanted to continue my education. It was either business school, med school, or law school. I was able to kind of just from process of elimination cross out 2 of those things. I'm like, okay, I guess law school it is. And it's kind of like my friends are doing it, so I guess I got to go too. And that kind of that ended up in law school, and it kind of surprised me because I had no idea what being a lawyer was. And it was until I started working at an externship and an internship at a couple of law firms during law school, where I was like, whoa, is this, I didn't know this is what it's like to be a lawyer. So at that point, it was kind of like a trigger for me to start looking at non-traditional ways to be able to practice law. And now I've been able to kind of completely flip things on their head, again, as a legal disruptor, to run a non-traditional law practice.
Where did you go to law school?
Southwestern Law School.
Did you take any time off between the time you graduated from UCLA and the time you went to Southwestern, or did you go straight through?
I basically, in my second year, I realized that I only had one more semester to take to finish UCLA. So I had to take one semester of my third year, and I graduated 1 year early. But that time, it was too late for me to kind of plan the next step. So I basically had a one free year to study for the bar and kind of focus on learning, reading a lot of books to kind of, develop myself.
You mean study for the LSAT?
Yeah, for LSAT, and also just start reading other books when it comes to self-development and about business and website development, anything that could help me in my future.
So during that year, did you work or did you travel or did you just prepare for law school?
Pretty much sat behind my computer, and I was either reading books or watching a lot of YouTube videos. That was it.
When was it that you first decided that you wanted to go to law school and you wanted to be a lawyer?
I kind of fell into it. Honestly, I don't think there was any initial stage I was at with like, I want to become a lawyer. I kind of fell into it, as weird as it sounds. And then, that moment hit, I'm like, wait, this is like what it's like being a lawyer. And that's when I kind of had to question, what kind of lawyer do I want to be? And how do I want to run my law firm if I were to start my own law firm?
You said that you started working at a law firm and you realized that you had to do something different. What was it about working at the law firm that made you realize that doing it that way wasn't the way that you were going to do it? And I'm wondering if you could tell us what that way was and what your notions about it were.
So it seemed like to me at that time that things were so black and white. It was like you're confined to these certain specific rules, certain specific way to be able to do whatever you got to do. And I was always this kind of creative thinker. I was a outside the box kind of thinker, sometimes a contrarian, where I kind of question things. I'm like, this is not probably the most efficient way to do it, or it doesn't have to be this way, or there's a faster way, or you'll be able to possibly do it another way. And I started questioning those things, and it drove me insane. I'm like, this is not, there could be much more efficient, quicker ways to do this. And that kind of like mindset kind of led me to start questioning typical traditional law firm. And then that's when I started learning about concepts of virtual business and automated business and also scalable business that I started applying for my law firm.
I suspect that in addition to driving yourself insane, you were probably driving the people that you worked for insane at the law firm.
No, actually, no. I just kept quiet and I kept it to myself. But I remember one of my moments when I realized, wait, I got to make a shift, was that I would come in to work at I believe 8 o'clock. By 8:05, I was already looking at the time and I was like, that's not good. If I'm already looking at the time at 8:05, it's a major concern. So that's when I started it was basically soul searching, just trying to find anybody, any book, any videos, any article that I could find to start kind of, I guess, figure out another way to be able to take where I am in life and be able to use it to my advantage, but do it in a, again, non-traditional way.
Okay. Can you explain to me how that thinking started and where that thinking went, and just kind of outline what brought you to this notion of virtual law firm and how you developed the idea and then implemented it?
Sure. So my epiphany came when I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek book. If anybody who hasn't read that book, it's I think life-changing, game-changing for a lot of lawyers, where I got exposed to those 3 key principles. The virtual model, which basically means you're not tied to any physical time or location. You're able to work on your own schedule from anywhere. Second, it exposed me to this whole idea of creating an automated system for a lot of the operations to be automated, to take off those tedious and repetitive tasks off your hand. And the third idea, which is I think the biggest part of it, is scalable actions. Instead of doing things that are one-to-one interactions, for example, instead of having coffee meetings with people or having one-to-one interactions where you do one thing for one output, instead, what if I could do one thing that could have many outputs, such as making one video that hundreds of people could watch, versus me having one conversation directly with one person. So those 3 are kind of really expanding my mind. I'm like, what if I could apply this to the legal market? And I started looking around, like, is anybody applying these? And I realized there weren't that many, if any, applying these. So I'm like, I'm gonna be the first one to start implementing this stuff for my law firm. So I went away from the traditional way. I'm gonna stop having client meetings myself. What if I create a system for me to meet people on Zoom and maybe even be able to delegate that out? What if I could, whenever I onboard new clients, what if I get them to fill out this form, and this form could automatically fill out all their paperwork for them? So I started implementing that, and I basically made a rule of thumb for myself. Anything I'm going to do for my law firm has to check off those 3 bullet points, those 3 elements. Is it virtual? is it automated and is it scalable? And if it broke any of those rules, I would not do it, no matter how much money it could cost me short term. I stuck to it, and little by little, I started the results again, especially with that scalable part. That kind of led me to kind of grow very quickly. In my first 4 years of my law firm, I was able to quadruple my growth, and ever since then, the past 2 or 3 years, I've been able to from double to 2.5x of the growth. Again, applying those principles. And then most recently, I've been kind of tapping into leverage, how to take advantage of leverage, which could be defined by either leveraging other people by hiring more, or technology and automation, or media or content, to be able to duplicate myself over and be able to replicate myself to be able to grow quickly. So those are like key principles. Those are like the main key principles that kind of lays out what actions I take on a day-to-day basis.
Lawyer Nation, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, take a moment right now to subscribe right below and turn on the bell notification to get notified every time I post a video, because right now I'm posting 5 videos a week, providing lots of value to lawyers. So click right here to subscribe, and to watch the next most relevant video, click right here. Go do it. Go watch it.